What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mokuphu Gaming. We're here to discuss WandaVision episode 7. Once again, with me again here is Big Man Gil, Tone, and Edgar P. Pimpin back again. What's up, guys?
Yo,
What's up, Steve?
what up? Snoopers go Snoop.
All right. So in this episode, there was a ton of things that happened, a lot of big revelations. Vision's becoming more aware of what's going on. Agnes has been revealed to be Agnes Harkness. And then Monica has shown to get her new powers. So today we're going to go over those items. Let's get it started. Let's talk about Vision becoming aware of what's going down.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about what's going on with Vision, and it's still a big question mark for me. Like, how is he even becoming aware of this stuff? Is somebody like, I don't know, is somebody manipulating him behind the scenes? Like, I don't know. His character's still a big mystery to me, but it is interesting, like, just to see him again becoming more like human-like than a lot of the other characters that we've kind of come across.
Yeah, there's definitely like an arc to who Vision is, especially who he was in Ultron and all the Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. He's just basically a different character than he was. He's very less robotic, more human. Especially in this last episode, he really showed some empathy for how Wanda is feeling, especially after Darcy kind of explained that he died twice. She had to watch it. She lost her brother. And then it's something kind of, a switch flipped in his head for the most part, and he just kind of seemed less angry at Wanda and just more empathetic to how she was feeling.
Yeah, it's interesting in this episode too because his character wakes up on the outside, on the old border of the hex, and then is with oh my gosh, what's her name again?
Darcy.
Darcy with Darcy, but she's having a hard time getting back to Wanda. Like all these roadblocks are being put, literal roadblocks are being put in front of them, and finally at the end, Vision is like, "Why am I even playing this game anymore?" And decides to fly off home to go see Wanda. So I'm curious to see what happens when he finds Wanda, if he finds her at Agnes's house.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Agatha, man, the show dropped the big bomb on us, showing us that she is actually very aware of everything that's going on, and she's also a witch. They went down to the underground, and she had that crazy basement, and she's done something with the kids. We don't know what yet, but oh my God, that was a big revelation.
Yeah, I mean, big crazy ending. It's actually the Agatha Harkness show. She, it was controlling Wanda. She's controlling a lot of what's going on, the narrative. She even killed Sparky. Crazy. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really a lot of cool Easter eggs. That book is there. Some kind of magical book she has in the attic there. She's controlling Wanda. She's controlling everything, most of the part, like what's going on in the show. Pietro seems to be connected to her in some way. I think I called in last episode. I thought it was more of just kind of a nod to, Fox and Disney and all that stuff that they bought, X-Men and all that. I don't think that was actually going to be, like X-Men coming into the show. I actually have a theory about that. I think that if you've ever watched the vampire show on FX where they have a familiar, I think that's who Pietro is to Agatha Harkness. He's kind of a familiar, kind of helps out, does his kind of like bidding, does her bidding kind of on the side. But I really thought that was really, really cool, like how they kind of summed up the behind the scenes, what she was doing. She was interviewing Wanda in the Modern Family scene, and it's just really cool how Marvel filmed all that.
Yeah, it's been it was gratifying, first of all, to see that she was who we theorized she was, that she was Agatha Harkness and she wasn't Agnes. That was called out pretty early on this channel, at least. That's who she probably was, so that was vindicating. But then also the fact that I've been saying for weeks that I didn't think Wanda was the big bad here, that there was someone else behind this thing, and we were theorizing Agnes Harkness was part of it, but we weren't sure in what capacity. So it was cool to see that she is, has nefarious reasons for being there. She's doing something. Maybe she's seems to be, maybe Ralph is the reason she's there. Maybe she's trying to. We don't see Ralph. She mentions her husband Ralph all the time. So maybe what she's doing there is trying to, somehow bring Ralph into this universe. And that may be Mephisto or Nightmare or someone else that we're not sure of yet.
Yeah, I agree with Tone. I think she's definitely, I don't know, there's been quite a few twists already, things that have been thrown, and I think it's too easy to say that Agatha's going to be the big bad from now on. I think there's still a lot to be revealed in the next couple episodes, and I think Yeah, I think she's I think she's definitely a major player, but not the major player. I think she's setting the scene, or maybe she's a co-major player, right? Like she's setting the scene to bring somebody else in here. And yeah, I don't know with Pietro. I thought it would be, I thought it was maybe Mephisto, kind of in there. And but there's still that possibility of like, it's funny how this show kind of throws these curveballs at you where you think you like know what's happening, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't know what was happening. Like there's something else going on. There's another layer to what's going on here. And I think with Agatha, I think it's still the same thing. And man, talk about a creepy ass layer, man. That the whole underground thing, I was like, as soon as she said the kids are in the basement, I was like, don't go in the basement. Like it's done.
Yeah. So what is she doing with it? I mean, were the kids the end goal? I mean, she seemed to be interested in the kids from the beginning. And then as soon as they were born, she was there. She's always been involved around the kids, the Sparky dying, and she seems to be intimately involved with what the kids are, or where they came from, or what she needs them for.
Yeah. I like the dynamic of Sword is interested in Vision, and then Agatha is interested in Wanda and possibly the kids. I think it's all pretty much leading toward like Vision and Wanda teaming up to have some kind of huge wizard war with Agatha in the end.
And now Photon, that's going to be her name. Monica Rambeau's character, she has powers now.
Yep.
So she's obviously going to do something in this battle.
Mm-hmm.
And how powerful is Agatha, right? Like we don't know the extent of that whole thing. Like we don't know. Yeah, like we know she's definitely been playing a big game and manipulating people behind the scenes, which also makes me think about like the edge of town and like that whole scene in the last episode where, as they get towards the edge of town, people start glitching out. Like, is it because there's a limit to Agatha's powers and what she's doing and how she's manipulating, or is that more of Wanda? Is Wanda like the physical manipulator of the environment, and then like Agatha's more like the mental controller? I don't know. There's a lot to still be determined.
If you think about it, like I was mentioning last episode, how Vision got further out in town was more like set dressing. It was not really like interactive, and it was outside of Wanda's sphere of influence. So it could be that Wanda generates all people around her, or maybe Agatha creates what she needs to create around Wanda to make her have her television world, which keeps her happy and more controllable, as opposed to a deranged, upset Wanda from having lost Vision twice and her brother.
Yeah, I definitely think that Agatha is just taking advantage of the situation, and she's just trying to manipulate her. It was funny when they showed her in the car and stuff like that, and it actually showed that she wasn't being manipulated by Wanda. She was just kind of playing Vision. So I think that just goes to show how that she's pretty powerful. But I'm sure we're going to see how powerful she is in the next couple episodes. But speaking of people who have powers, Monica also has been revealed to have powers now, or also known as Photon. Theoretically, that's what they're going to name her. I've read about her, and she actually has had many names in the past. But let's talk about her and her new powers. Do you think she can go up against Wanda in a head-to-head? Because she seemed pretty capable.
Well, Wanda's supposed to be one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, correct? Like, but then I was not familiar with Monica Rambeau's character, her powers, Photons. But from what I've read and discovered, is she's also very powerful. She's again named as one of the most powerful MCU characters. So I expect to see her, holding her own in any battle against Wanda or Agatha or whoever else is there.
Yeah, it seems like that whole, it is interesting how she got her powers, like basically through whatever Wanda's doing, right? So it also makes you think about like the type of power she's going to have. If you're going to have anybody go up against Wanda, it's like almost like a superhero of her own creation, right? Like that whole entire hex thing, like she went through it 3 times and basically got her entire structure like redone, right? And like by whatever force Wanda's using to throw up that whole hex. So yeah, again, I wasn't too familiar with Photon. Like there had been rumblings, right, about that's who she was going to be, especially when she was introduced as like, the kid from Captain Marvel and being like, like that character. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like what's going to happen. Is she going to go up against Wanda? Is she going to go up against like what's going to happen? And then Pietro, like, is Pietro going to like, what's up with that, right? Like he finds her at the end and you don't see what happens. Like, is there going to be a battle between those two? Like, what's going to go on to the next episode?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely seems confident in her powers, just using them off the bat. She had the whole like superhero landing, as Deadpool would say. she looked like she knew what she was doing and ready to go versus Wanda. I'm not really familiar with her like comic book character, but I thought it was cool when she went through, and then it was almost like Neo seeing the Matrix. She just kind of like saw like, you know, the magic creating every loop that's going on like in Westview. I thought that was pretty cool. I did think that. Do you ever think like Jimmy Woo's like upset that he didn't go through the hex and get like his magical powers? Because you can tell he wants to be like a magician or a wizard, you know? Like it's just kind of sad. Like he's like, ah, man, I wish that was me.
Well, I don't think he knows she has powers yet. Maybe.
Oh yeah, that's
He's
true.
gonna try to run through
Maybe that's
this.
just from the outside observer.
Yeah, I think her having powers is pretty interesting. I am a little worried that she's gonna settle into the powers a little too quickly, because it's gonna be a lot like Star Wars, you know, where, you know, Rey suddenly knows and masters all of these powers like within an instant with like no training and anything like that. So I hope they don't go that route. I hope they somehow make it a little bit more believable. But she's definitely pretty powerful, and she, you know, her powers are showing up as blue, which is, you know, the contrast to Wanda's red powers. So that's pretty cool. I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I think their battle is going to be pretty epic when it does go down.
But the other thing interesting we didn't cover, I kind of want to go over, was the commercial in this episode, because the commercial in this episode was actually very telling. The Nexus commercial of the drug commercial. It was basically this world that she created is the Nexus, and that drug was the simile metaphor for that universe. And it was basically kind of telling the story of, like, about Wanda and, you know, fulfilling her destiny and getting past grief and all that stuff. So it was the most on the nose, I think, commercial we've had yet of over the overall, story of what was going on here. But at the same time, like, who's creating the commercials? Is it Agatha that's doing this, or is it Wanda?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what you guys' opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool the way it was like you said, it like kind of summarized what she was going through, especially in that episode. It was kind of like a manic depression that she was kind of going through in the Modern Family part of it all. And then they show the commercial, and I mean, it's, you know, if you watched any commercials in the last like decade, that's mostly what they are, is like prescription drugs. And it just kind of summarized like what she was going through. I did think it was interesting because we talked about Doctor Strange showing up, and it said that a doctor had to prescribe it for you. So I still think that might be an Easter egg for him showing up in the next episode or two.
Yeah, the commercials still continue to be like a mystery, right? Like you guys all said, like who's producing them? Is it her subconscious? Is it like, what's going on? Is it Agatha continuing to try to control her in some ways? I don't know. But yeah, I think Tone said, right, a Nexus is like the coming together of, and so she is kind of like the coming together of all these different multiverses that we're probably gonna be revealed later on. And then like the whole, like how as humans, like we use drugs to try to like avoid grief and like avoid pain, and how like that's what basically she's been doing, right? Like this whole reality is her drug. Like they're, in a lot of different ways, like she is kind of being drugged to not feel like all this pain and stuff that she's been through in like these last few weeks. So I thought it was really well done. And like definitely the commercials have been getting a lot darker, right? I mean, that first one was dark with the kind of like toaster, and it was kind of out of nowhere, but like as you look at the last one too, with like the shark and the kid dying, like it just continues to get kind of darker and more like, just more like they're not as fun.
Yeah, well, as the same way as the show's gone. The first one's very light and just funny, and now we got kids in the basement.
True.
But what about the part where it says that the universe doesn't revolve around you, but it should, and it's like,
oh no, is it like, or does it?
or does it? Yeah, and it's like, well, it kind of does, and then at the end you're like, actually, it's around Agatha. Like it's crazy.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this round of WandaVision discussion. Thank you once again for joining us. If you like the video, go ahead and smack that like button. Subscribe if you want to. Leave us some comments. We'd really, really appreciate some comments about like maybe things you want to talk about in the next episodes and things like that. So if you can, go ahead and do that. Thank you once again for Gil, Edgar, and Tone for joining me once again and discussing this. Hope you guys were all enjoyed. We'll see you next time.